that was somewhat nerve-wracking. Let's come on with zero warm-up and do a stream about playing fast, because I've been spending the last 25 minutes trying to sort out some tech problems. Hey folks, how you doing? How you doing? We're here. We made it, right? My name's Nick Jennison. It's the Monday Guitar Show. Welcome on board. We're doing the thing that we do on Mondays, which is hang out and chat about the guitar. And today, we are continuing our discussion on playing fast. Specifically, we're talking about playing fast in the real world. What does that mean? Well, we're going to get to that, right? I'll explain everything as we go further forward. But sorry about keeping you guys waiting. We had some tech issues going on there, which was a bit of a mish to get sorted, let me tell you. Several restarts later, and not only did we have several restarts, but during one of the restarts, the keyboard died. So I'm trying to log into my Mac and I'm going, help, help, help. And the keyboard died. And apparently I don't have any batteries kicking around. So I had to go into my gig bag and grab some rechargeable batteries, which I take for my wireless systems when I'm playing out. Luckily that was, it was here, but it was on the roof of my studio. I have a little bit of storage up there. So I had to get on some ladders, which was, you know, it's always quite scary at the best of times. I'm not really that great on ladders. I don't mind them, but my body seems to hate them for some reason, and just does not want to go up or down the ladders. It's like, you know what, man, ladders, they're not for you. Anyway, I digress. That's why we're a little bit late today. That and the fact that StreamYard, just for whatever reason, did not want to allow me to be on the stream. But here we are. We made it. We made it. So listen, I want to thank you for joining us. If you are new here, we do this every Monday. We hang out, we chat about the guitar with the objective of turning you, dear viewer, into a slightly better guitar player when you leave than you were when you landed, when you arrived. So basically, we're going to try and make you a better guitar player over the course of our next hour today. And we're continuing our discussion on speed. But before we go any further, want to remind you that today's stream is brought to you as ever by licklibrary.com, guitarinteractivemagazine.com. Go to licklibrary.com for lessons, including our featured course, which is Sam Bell's Speed Picking Workout. It's a practice course, and it's a course we practice along with Sam. So it's like a guided workout tape, for want of a better word. Now, I have a few of these cooking myself because these play-along courses have proven to be extremely popular. You guys seem to really like them, and we really like doing them. So yes, got a few of those coming in the pipeline for you guys, along with a bunch of other stuff. Been teaching some songs this week. We got some absolute crackers coming your way. I can't tell you what they are because that would be giving too much away, but suffice to say, got some real good ones coming for you. And in addition to that, we have a new issue of Guitar Interactive Magazine coming out very soon. Keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you're on the mailing list if you're not already. And last bit of housekeeping, whatever you happen to be watching us on, don't forget, hit the button to subscribe so we can let you know when we're about to go live, or not in today's case, when we're about to keep you waiting for 5-10 minutes while we figure out what's going on. Anyway, we're going to say some hellos. We'll make sure we've said hi to everyone before we get too deep into the weeds. StreamYard is behaving very strangely today. They've introduced some new features, and there are bugs in the system. We're not even going to try the new features, which is this sort of deal where it shows the live chat on stage. In fact, I might just do that. I might have the live chat up there anyway. But anyway, Marcin was the first in the house. PJ, good to have you on board. Larry Warren's here. Sacred Godslayer's here. Helmet Straps here. Fog Cornish is here. Response Audio is here. Zach Lee with some very good observations. We're going to come back to these, saying trim the fat for optimum pick hold when the pick is held upon, but not against the surface. Allow for 1/8 of an inch more pick tip to protrude than usual. This is interesting stuff, man. Right, we got some real good stuff coming here. I'm going to dig into this, Zach, a little bit later on, because this is some good stuff, right? We like that. Thank you for your input. Do appreciate that. A fat-free thumb is an interesting way of putting it, but I think it's a great observation. I think you got some good stuff there. Dreams is in the house. Suntanu Official is here. Franz is here. Block 18. Crankatom, my dear friend Nick Harrison, is here. There's some guy, that's me, saying, hey, look at that, saying we're having trouble with StreamYard. We've got our friend Hassan All tuning in from Bangladesh. Lovely to have you. James Francis Guitar, great to see you, man. Thanks for coming on board. Our friend Trolls Jan, whose name I will continue to butcher because I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Dylan Jessup is here. Almost GFX says, hey all, great to see you, man. Who else do we have? Livio is tuning in from Italy. Lovely to see you. Anybody I have missed? The Swede Guitar Dude is in the house. Great to see you. Thanks for coming on board. El Ramsey's here. Mal O'Reilly's here. And Steve Ford is tuning in. So I want to ask you guys, before we go any further, let me know in the comments which guitar you happen to have with you today, because I've got my Baum guitar, right? This is the thing that I kind of agonized over a little bit before we actually started playing. I had everything set up and then I'm like, oh God, I need a guitar. What guitar am I going to play? And I'm kind of surrounded by nice ones. We've got a couple of very cool ones in from our friends at Jet Guitars, making some really affordable instruments of very, very high quality. But the Baum was speaking to me today. So I thought it was Baum time. If you guys have got a guitar in your lap, which I hope you do have, let me know in the comments which guitar you happen to be playing. Anyway, let's get into the meat of today's stream, which is, we'll address your guitars once we've collected a few of them. So, anyway, let's get into the meat of today's stream, which is playing fast in the real world. And what do we mean by this in the real world kind of business? Well, what we mean by in the real world is when you are playing and it counts, i.e., are you playing in front of people? Are you playing on a recording? Are you playing in some environment where the pressure is on? The pressure is on you to play well. People are counting on you, someone is counting on you, maybe money is on the line, maybe status is on the line, who knows. Would you look at that, by the way? Look, here we go. The chat is on screen. Thanks, StreamYard. It was definitely worth keeping us waiting to have this tiny little bit of chat that nobody can read because it's really small, but it looks fun, right? We look like we're doing a proper stream now, but it is also directly over our Monday Guitar Show logo, so we're going to get rid of that. Never mind. I'll just highlight your comments as we go. We'll get through as many of them as we can. So anyway, playing when something is on the line. You're at a gig, you're at a recording session, you're at a jam session, and you really want to give it your best. And we'll talk a little bit about what may go wrong in those situations, but I want to see if this is you, right? So we've all had this thing where we have a lick that we have sat and we have nailed, and we've just done it perfectly over and over again in our practice space, whether that's your bedroom, whether it's your studio, your rehearsal room, whatever it is, right? You've got this lick, you can play this lick flawlessly. It's beautiful. And then you come to play the thing in front of people and suddenly you unlearn how to play the guitar, to quote the Genius's death clock. So yes, you slowly or rapidly unlearn to play the guitar and you can't quite figure out why, right? You can't suss out why it is that your magic chops just don't work in front of people. It's a strange thing, right? So we're going to address a few things with this, but first of all, I'd like to begin by addressing some of the things that we might be doing when it's time to play fast and things gone wrong, as we say around my neck of the woods. We've got some great guitars in the chat, just going to highlight a few of these. So, because we've got some really good ones. Foghorn is just playing a Jackson Dinky Pro, love them. Another Jackson Pro Soloist SLA3 Gold, as you reviewed. That is a great guitar, right? That's a killer guitar. In gold, first of all, gold guitars. We love gold guitars. Red guitars are faster, but gold guitars are cooler. So, yeah, why am I reminded of a book that I read where gold guitars and red guitars featured? I can't remember what it was, a journalist something. Anyway, I cannot remember for the life of me. But yes, that's a killer guitar, right? That guitar probably had, the one we played at the Fender showroom, probably had the lowest action of any factory guitar I've ever played in my entire life. It was insane. Like, you could breathe on it and it would shred for you. It was nuts. It's a great guitar, very cool. Ibanez J Custom, I regret selling my J Custom. Boo, shame. I mean, that's one that I knew I was going to regret, but I had things I needed to buy, so away it went. One that got away. Ibanez JS02480. I can't remember which one that is, but we do like a JS here. My tutor had a JS when I was at university. Playing another Jackson Dinky MJ. Very cool. SG Angus Young signature. Jackson Chris Broderick. Very cool. Very cool, right? Lots of Jacksons in the chat today. We like a Jackson. PRS Chris Robertson, loving the neck. Beautiful guitar. Very cool. Ibanez Dragon's Eye Burst. Very nice. nice. Who else do we have? Paisley Telly with GFS humbuckers. Very nice. Love a Paisley Telly. Love a Paisley Telly. Legator, rather. Solar Eclipse. Can't speak today. Stratton Shoreline Gold. Gold guitars are cooler. Our friend Andy James guitar. Andy James Kiesel Model 20. Very cool. A Storm Shadow DBS with the best pickups you'll never own. It's an in-joke. Jackson Flying V. Who else do we have? Very quickly. Loads of cool guitars. Music Man Luke. A 7-string. Very nice. Jackson JS227. Very nice. And finally, our friend James Francis is playing a Fender American Stratocaster 2014 in sparkly red. Very nice, very nice. Marcin with the observation, absolutely. Stream about playing fast has got everybody pulling their Jackson guitars out. And what did I do? I go the guitar with the mini humbuckers. But the mini humbuckers are cool. Anyway, here is our friend Larry Warren, right, with the observation we're looking for here, which is the nerves kick in. Right, so this is kind of what we're talking about. It's how to get the chops out when the nerves are kicking in and when it's really time to do something and people are watching. Now, we're going to begin with one of the most obvious things when it's time to go, but things start to go wrong. And that is that we try and go too fast. Now, what is too fast, right? We have a speed limit built into our hands that is as fast as we can possibly go, right? As fast as we can go. There'll be some variation in this day to day, depending upon your fluctuations in daily performance, something we've talked about in previous streams. That will vary. We also have variations month to month, depending upon how your practice is going. It varies. It's not something that is set, but at any given time, you will have a 100% speed limit. And we're going to find this 100% speed limit today and see how it is going to treat us. And then I'm going to encourage you to not play there, if that makes sense, right? Because there are lots of useful feeds just below that. But we're going to begin with a lick, and we're going to play this lick. This is the good old-fashioned Paul Gilbert lick. Now, any of these licks will do, and I will encourage you to either pick this or do it legato in whatever manner is comfortable. But we're going to start at the top, and we're going to play 10, my mistake, 10 on the high E string. And then we'll have 13, 12, 10 on the B string. Let me turn my monitors down a bit because that's going to bleed into the mic. But I hear the freaking thing. Let's get that halfway in between. So 10, 13, 12, 10, and then 12, finally 13, like this. Now I'm going to pick this starting the downstroke. But you can play it with whatever technique you want. You can play legato. You can pick it starting an upstroke. You can pick some of the notes and not others. I don't have a dog in the fight on this one. We're going to throw some drums on. Hopefully you guys can hear the drums nice and clearly. We'll start at a reasonably low speed and crank our way up to some fast. We'll see how fast we can get, right? So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to play using triplets. This is 80 BPM, and I want you to make a note of when you tap out. The triplets at 80, that should be easy enough for most folks. Let's go triplets at 100. Again, however you want to play this lick is fine. It doesn't really matter if you're playing it exactly the same way I'm playing it. Totally up to you. Now let's go a little faster. Let's go 120. We're making big jumps because we're down at the bottom end of the speed range right about now. Let's go. Feeling pretty good. Okay, let's go back to 60, but this time we're going to double the speed. We'll get up to 70 for argument's sake. And here we'll do 6 tuplets. Everyone's still feeling good. Hopefully we're kind of working. It doesn't matter where you stop, by the way. It doesn't matter where you stop, but have we got it? Yeah, okay, let's keep going. That's 70, let's go to 90. And we'll go. Let's see who's still with us. Getting fast now. Let's go up to 100. This is where things are actually legitimately quick. We're at the equivalent of 150 playing 16th notes. Make sense? Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to 110. We'll go. And again, here we go. Yeah, feeling pretty okay. Let's go up to 120, see where we get to. We go. Things are starting to happen to my hands right about now. I'm starting to get a little bit tight, a little bit tense, but we'll go again. Let's go a bit further. Let's go up to maybe 130. This might be me tapping out. No, it's kind of okay. I think I've switched to some kind of a different picking approach there, but we'll get to it. Let's go 140. Let's see how this treats me. Nope, not even with the fingers. Yak! Falling apart. I can just about get through that. So we're going to say that 140 playing sextuplets is kind of the max for this lick today. Now, what I wanted to do with that, hopefully you played along there, because what I want you to pay attention to is the sensation that we get when we are approaching those max speeds, those crazy, crazy speeds where things are starting to get like, ooh, I can just about hang on here, right? Just about hang on. That sensation is not a pleasant one, and it is not conducive to playing in time. It's not conducive to playing cogent musical ideas, things that we actually want to play. So why would we play there? Because what happens is, as our friend Steve, Luth or Louth, has rightly pointed out, adrenaline gets us and we play too fast, right? We play too quick. And I want you to start to recognize the feeling of going a little bit too fast, right? Recognize that feeling so you can kind of step on the brakes a little bit, or rather you can release the gas just a little bit. And I'm going to encourage you to use this thought process. Embrace 90%. Embrace 90% as the top speed. So imagine that you have a top speed of 200, whatever that would be. Embrace 180. Does that make sense? Now, obviously we are confined by tempo. We can only play the speed that the tempo will allow us to, but if we're playing quickly, and our goal is here to play quickly at, to play quickly where it counts, we shouldn't be playing at a maximum speed for any more than maybe just a teeny tiny bit, because it will always come back and bite us. Whereas if we just chill a tiny bit, we're going to go to these cameras so I can show you what I'm talking about. If we just chill a tiny bit, you'd be amazed how much difference it can make. So let me go back to that D backing track that I was playing over in the intro. It's a lot of fun, this one. This is one of our blues rock tracks that came out quite recently. Available on licklibrary.com. Great fun track. I'm going to sit slightly this way so you can see my hand a little better. I'm going to start by playing some stuff that is about as quick as I can go, right? And I'm going to do this pretty much free time. You'll see where I'm going at with this, and things will start to come apart at the seams. Yikes! Oh, the tapping is kind of quick, but oh, mistakes are made. Mistakes are happening. It's not the greatest, right? Now that is some quick. That's a lot of fast, right? My hands are starting to tighten up. Things are starting to feel pretty nasty. It also sounds kind of tense. It sounds kind of unsure of itself. If I just back this down, just back it down one notch on the gear lever to something like this. Still fast. Now that doesn't sound that different, but in my mind, because I'm just that one little notch further back, that one little notch down on the speedometer, and I'm at that 90% rather than that full 100%. I'm not just trying to go as quick as I can. I'm going, okay, just chill a little bit. Not only is it cleaner, it's not even perceptibly slower, right? As far as the audience is concerned, they're going, whoa, wait a minute, that's quick. It's probably too quick to play all the time, but we're on about playing fast today. That's the whole purpose of this stream. Fast is not the only thing, right? Obviously, that goes without saying. You should also have other strings to your musical bow, but we're talking about playing fast today, right? So fast is the goal. But by playing just at that teeny, weeny, tiny percent slower than the absolute maximum that I can possibly play, I'm able to play cleaner, more fluidly, and I'm also able to play things that are cooler because I feel like I can keep an eye on my playing a little bit more, right? Because I'm not just trying to blast as fast as I possibly can. My fingers don't get confused. My fingers don't end up doing that thing where they go, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to play. Which you probably would have felt, right? Now, I'm going to encourage you to do the same, right? We're going to play something. It doesn't really matter what you play. You can choose, but I'll give you a suggestion, right? Your suggestion might be to play something using this little part of the fretboard, right? So we're playing in, broadly speaking, D Dorian. So I'm going to encourage you to take D minor pentatonic, which broadly speaking is 13 and 10. 13 and 10, 12 and 10, 12 and 10, 12 and 10, 13 and 10. If you want to play something else, you can. And I'm going to encourage you to include the following notes. Let's include 12 and 12 on the highest two strings, and then 13 on the G string. So now we've got 13, 12, 10, 13, 12, 10, 13, 12, 10, and then our root note down here on 12. It's a cool little part of the scale, right? A lot of fun. I'm going to encourage you to play something in this domain. And we're going to have goes. We're going to take it in turns to basically just blast this as fast as we possibly can. And what I mean by fast as we possibly can is imagine yourself in that scene in Whiplash where you've got the, what's his name? Oh, geez, I can't remember the professor's name. I remember Andrew Neiman, but I can't remember the name of the professor. Played by Simo, J.K. Simo? I'm getting it mixed up with Ian Simo. Even still, fabulous actor who I'm blanking on, right? And he's doing the double time swing, faster, 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 because that's how we audition drummers, right? Sure. Whiplash is, as Adam Neely rightly pointed out, not a music movie. It's a sports movie. And as a gym bro, I'm wearing a barbell medicine t-shirt today, right? As a gym bro, I approve of the sports movie thing. But even still, imagine yourself in that scene, right? Where it's like, you must play as fast as you possibly can, or bad things will happen to you. Someone's going to take your guitar away and give it to someone who maybe doesn't need guitars. Let's just extrapolate this out, right? Let's reduce this to an absurd thing. So someone is, if you don't play as fast as you possibly can, someone will take your guitar and give it to Joe Bonamassa. He was the most undeserving person to receive a guitar, not because he's not a great guy or a great player, of course he is, but he has every guitar in the entire universe already. He doesn't need yours, but that's the deal. Fast as you can, or your guitar gets sent away to Joe Bonamassa to be kept in his vault and probably never played because he's too busy playing his 1359 Les Pauls, however many he's got. I'm not jealous, you're jealous. Anyway, let's get about it. So, whatever you want, fast as you can. I'm going to play some of this as quick as I possibly can and observe the feeling of confusion in the fingers. I'll go like this. Whoa, that is uncomfortable. Yuck. Terrible. Poor. Musicless. Awful. You take a turn, right? This is not how it's meant to feel. This is just show you what it's meant to not feel like. You can play anything you want. You don't have to play that shape, but just get used to that feeling of like, whoa, my fingers don't know what to do, right? What to do. Fletcher is the jazz band teacher, played by J.K. Simmons. There we go, Terence Fletcher. Of course, it is Terence Fletcher, isn't it? I don't know, I'm getting mixed up with somebody else. Anyway, I'm gonna take a turn, fast as I can. Ooh, this is not gonna be fun. It's certainly not gonna be music. Yuck. Terrible, right? It's like those guys that are on Instagram saying, I'm the fastest guitarist in the world. You take a turn, and then we're going to change something, right? We're going to change something. So the thing that we're going to change, here's what we're going to do. We're going to change the way this sounds by just backing this down a little bit. Just stay really chill. Just back this down from as fast as you can, whatever that looks like, to about 90% of that. Be limited by your ability to stay comfortable, and then we'll see how we get to you. So I go like this. You take a turn, fast as you can, but not fast as you can, rather, 90% this time. Just a little bit chill. You won't even perceive it as different, but you feel something different in the hands, and I'm gonna tell you what that something is after this next pass. I'll take a turn. That was as fast as I can. Let's just relax it a little bit. You take a turn. You take a turn. We've got some discussion of picks landing in the comments. We're going to get to that. We'll get to that in a second, because it's some good stuff. Okay, right, now here's the deal. Here's the thing. You may be going, well, wait a minute, that was no different. That was the same speed, but one felt good and one felt terrible. And I'm going to tell you what's actually going on here. What's actually going on here is the big thing, the actual real reason why this doesn't work, is that when we start to play super fast, it's because we're trying really hard. We are trying super hard. We're going, make the guitar playing happen. Force it to happen. Make it happen. I will do the guitar playing. I'm going to make it occur. When we just back it down a little bit, we let the guitar playing happen. We observe it happening. We don't force it to occur. Right? Now, this is the central conceit of a very valuable book, which I shall summarize for you poorly today. The book is called The Inner Game of Tennis, right, by W. Timothy Galway, and it has stood unchallenged as a seminal tome in sports performance, sports psychology, and sports science for decades. And it's not just about tennis. Even though the book itself is centered around tennis, what it actually is it's an examination of the inner part of human performance, the psychology of human performance. And what it boils down to is this: your ability to perform at any given moment, you can think of as an equation. And the equation is this. The equation is that your potential, your performance, which we'll frame as large P, big P. I'm going to type this out. So performance, i.e. how good you are, equals your potential minus interference. I'm going to throw this up on screen so we can see what we're talking about here. I haven't used a banner in absolutely ages. Let's put a banner up. There we go. Performance equals potential minus interference. I will have spelled one of these words wrong, I'm sure. Performance equals potential minus interference. I've said plus. Let's get rid of that, right? I'm going to edit this very quickly. Performance equals potential minus interference. Does that make sense? This is quite a simple equation, but what it suggests is that your ability to perform at any point is the sum of your potential to play something, i.e. how much speed have you garnered in the practice room? What is your limit? Minus the interference. And the interference can come in the form of several things, right? It can come in the form of external things. We would call these externals in the domain of powerlifting, which is, things like bad sleep, let's say, or maybe you've eaten something and it's not sitting right on you. You've been distracted by something. Somebody's trying to pour their beer onto your pedals, and it's somewhat distracting because that will be distracting, right? You are trying to solve an issue with a piece of streaming software, while also improvising for all eternity on the internet, etc., right? These are external things, external factors, but there are also internal factors that can contribute to interference. And the interference can be things like trying too hard, trying to make the hands do the thing. It can be negative self-talk. It can be positive self-talk. Negative self-talk can be things like, you better get this right. Come on, you got to do this. You got to get this right, otherwise everybody's watching. Everyone's watching. What will happen if you don't get it right? People will die. You know, there will never be peace in the Middle East if you don't get this right. I'm being silly, but you get the point, right? These sort of things start to occur in our heads when we start to kind of try a little too hard. We try and want it a bit too much. We try and make things happen. But here is another little factor with this that's interesting. It's another part of the book, right, which is kind of this interference business, is the book posits this idea of the two selves, this idea of self one and self two. Now, I'm going to summarize this very badly, but what it ultimately boils down to is there's a side of you that is actually doing the playing of the guitar. And that's the side of you that's operating the hands, that is good at playing things, that you have taught to play scales and licks and picking techniques and hammer-ons and pull-offs and arpeggios and Judas Priest solos or whatever, right? That's the side of you that is good at moving the meat suit. And there is the other side of you that's responsible for your ego. And it's responsible for embarrassment, and it's responsible for the desire to impress people, and it's responsible for these negative self-talk. What it is responsible for, ultimately, is interference. And when we start to get too in our own heads about this stuff, and we start to play a little too much, we start to go a little too hard, and we start to want things a bit too much, and we play things a little faster, just a tiny bit faster than we should, and we try a little bit harder than we should, then the side of you that is actually moving the hands doesn't know what to do with that information. And what it does instead is go, oop, and just gets confused. And then badness happens. The playing doesn't work, and then you go, come on, hands, try harder. You could do this a second ago. What's wrong with you, hands? Does this sound familiar to you guys? Right? Does this sound familiar? It certainly sounds familiar to me, because it's something that we've all wrestled with. Now, how do we defeat this? How do we defeat this demon of interference that is stopping us from playing at our full potential? Well, one of the first steps that we do is just to, for want of a better term, chill the F out. And what I mean by this is to recognize the fact that our playing potential, our performance, will be governed by the potential that we have garnered through our practice. We cannot exceed what we have put together in our practice. There is no superhuman state that can come over us that can make us play better than we have prepared for, but also to recognize the fact that you will never, almost never play the way you can at 100% of your capacity, because there will always be, the fastest back on the screen, some kind of interference. The interference can be everything from nerves through to the fact that you're standing with the guitar instead of sitting with the guitar. You can't really hear it. The room's too hot. You didn't have your favorite dinner. You're not wearing the most comfortable shoes. There's an attractive person sat over the other side of the room and you're trying to impress them. Whatever it is, right? There will always be interference, and we can account for this. And we can go, okay, look, I will do my best given the conditions that I'm under, but I'm going to cut myself some slack and recognize that just because I can play something under perfect conditions doesn't mean I can also play it perfectly under imperfect conditions. And this is why I'm encouraging you to embrace 90%. Embrace fast enough. Embrace what feels good, that you can keep an eye on and you can go, yeah, I can do some stuff with this. As opposed to going, I must play at my absolute most burning at all times. If it's there, if you're playing and you're having one of those days where it's just working, take it. But if it's not, don't worry about it, right? Fast enough is fast enough. Now, this has been very philosophical, right? But hopefully hopefully, Fran says this sounds familiar. So hopefully that makes sense, right? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. We've got some great technical points coming in. We're going to address those as we go, because we've got some other stuff too, right? But here's a great one from Response Audio. It says, trying to get enough physical technique that you can get out of the way and just let the music come out with the performance of the action. Yes, 100%, right? 100%. You try and garner enough technique in your practice that you can then, you know, when it's time to perform, you can just rely on it. You can fall back on the thing, right? Somebody, I think we said it recently in one of these streams, and it was something that keeps coming back to me. I keep seeing it all over the place now, either because the algorithm is recommending it to me, or I'm just noticing when people are saying it, right? And it's this weird synchronicity thing, perhaps, where you just notice stuff. You're like, oh, I'm seeing lots of people saying that. And they were probably saying it the whole time, but you just weren't paying attention. Anyway, the thing is that we don't rise to the occasion, we fall to our highest level of preparation. And what I mean by that is when the chips are down, when things count, when it's time to really play, you fall back to your highest level of preparation. Now, here are some other tips that we can run with on this one. So, other things that can help with this is to play stuff that you know. Now, this sounds somewhat obvious, right? Play things you know, what do you mean? Should I play things that I don't know? Or what I mean is you should play things that you know well. You should play things that you know really well, right? Really well. And by really well, I mean don't try that little combination of fingers that isn't quite down there yet, right? The difference between, say for example, I'm going to throw two little runs at you. I'll throw you one that I can play in my sleep. I'll throw you another one that is maybe a little bit more of a finger twister, right? And then we'll talk about the musical effect of the two. So here we go. Here's a backing track again, still in D. Here's a run I can play in my sleep. Yep. Play that all day, every day. I played it in countless reviews. It's just one of them licks that I keep moving back to. Here, if I go. Wow, that was harder. That was tougher. Was there much of a difference in musical effect between the two? Not really. Right, let me do something similar to the one that I can play in my sleep. Now, I fell into some hard trap there. I tried something new. Let's try the sleep thing again. Yep, much better. Now, as far as the listener is going, unless the listener is transcribing those two licks, it will be some fast that goes and snakes its way down the fretboard in a zigzaggy kind of fashion. It's not straight up and down. It's kind of got a bit of like rocking back on itself, but ultimately it serves kind of the same function, right? Does it benefit me to try and play some version of this that I think is more interesting and more complex when I can achieve the same musical effect within reason by playing something that is much tighter into my vocabulary? Well, in practice, it absolutely benefits me to try the cool new thing, but in performance, it benefits me to play the thing that I can play in my sleep. Why? Because it forms this lovely virtuous cycle where I play something cool and I go, yeah, that worked, great, fantastic. And then you start to feel good about your playing, you start to relax a little bit, you start to allow the juices to flow, everything is good. If you try and play this thing that is weirdly hard, and by the way, the only thing I was changing particularly, I took the same path through the fretboard, but I was trying to do this thing where I did lots of hammer-ons and pull-offs with my pinky finger, like kind of more than usual. Not a pattern that I'm particularly, not that I'm not familiar with it, but I don't play it very often. So the point with this is, that then starts to get me into this mindset of like, fucking hell, you gotta try harder, right? Come on, dig in, try harder. And then everything goes terrible because I start to cramp up, my hands start to get all tense, it all starts to turn to nonsense. And here's the thing, the listener, it's not that the listener wouldn't notice, but the listener wouldn't care. The listener would be going, oh yeah, that's a cool line. And if you happen to pull off the other one, they'd go, oh yeah, that's a cool line. So, playing things that feel comfortable, playing things that work, and not worrying about playing the cool new thing or something that you value as something that's challenging can really benefit you. So I'm going to continue this thought by saying that I don't think listeners care about whether you think something is challenging or not, right? Of those two licks, one will be challenging for me, one will be less challenging. As far as the listener's concerned, if I play them both equally well, the listener won't know which one was challenging, provided they're both reasonably similar. They won't know. They'll be like, yeah, they're both kind of cool, both about the same sort of thing. And I'll be going, what are you talking about? This one is really complicated. Couldn't you hear that little thing that I did halfway in the middle, this really crazy fingering? No, they probably couldn't, right? And they probably didn't care. So what they probably cared about was, did it create a cool musical effect? And if the answer is yes, we've won. We've won. So playing things that you can play quite easily, and what this often looks like if you're a questing guitar player, if you're a guitar player who is driving to be the best guitar player that you can, it often looks like playing stuff that you might consider to be kind of played out. Licks in your vocabulary that are played out, right? We've all had them. We've all had licks or lines that we play very often and we get bored of them. And we go, I'm sick of that. That's not very interesting anymore. Because you've heard it 1,000 times. But your listeners may not have heard it 1,000 times. Your listeners may have heard it once, twice. Maybe they've never heard you play it at all and they go, oh my God, that's amazing. What is that thing? Right? Whereas you'll be sat going, play it all the time. But that's good, because you play it all the time and it's under your fingers and it works. A really great example of this, a fine example of this, is the master, the king, Edward Van Halen, right? So we love ourselves some Edward here. Has Eddie been surpassed in terms of technical facility on the guitar? Yes, during his peak he was surpassed in terms of technical ability, but he's still the model for the explosive shred guitar player. And we would hear these little things in Eddie's playing all the time, right? All the time. So for example, if we take this lovely lick, loads of times we hear that. Or this. That sort of guy. With the pick scrape, right? Now that is not all that Eddie played, obviously, right? It sounds like Eddie. It's not, if we put the phaser on, it really sounds like Eddie. Do I have a phaser? Now, obviously it doesn't sound like Eddie, but what he would do is he would pull these little bits of vocabulary out and go, yeah, I can play that, it feels comfortable, I'm gonna play that. Examples of this might even include the way that Eddie plays these particular blues licks. This little... he had this very particular way of playing that. That was different to the way Michael Schenker plays it, it's different to the way Hendrix played it, it's different to the way Zakk Wylde plays it, etc. Has the same kind of musical effect. Would it have behooved our Edward to play that in the manner of Michael Schenker exactly, or in the manner of Ritchie Blackmore exactly? Probably not. Because it still sounds cool, it sounds like the thing. It's, oh, that's some circly, snarky dog, bluesy stuff that Paul Gilbert talks about quite a lot. But you get the gist, right? You get the gist. So playing things that are comfortable within your wheelhouse, provided they have the right musical effect, it really goes a long way towards playing well when it counts, right? So folks, that's been a look at how you can improve your capacity to play well when it counts, play fast when it counts. We're going to take some questions because we've got lots of good questions coming in. And I'm going to start with the pick slanting question because I'm going to use this as an opportunity to clear up some misconceptions here, I think. So we'll get to that. But before we do that, I want to encourage you once again, if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing, consider checking out today's featured course, which is Sam Bell's Picking Practice Workout. It's great, link down below. And definitely at your earliest convenience, go out, buy and read The Inner Game of Tennis. It's a game changer. Life changer. I share this with all my students. You must have it. It's necessary reading, I think. So let's get to the pick slanting thing, because we're going to clear this up for folks who who maybe don't know, right? If I play 6 notes per string, transitioning from a higher pitch string to a lower pitch string, use a downward pick slant. And Nick Harrison is asking if that's for tone or for comfort. We're going to clear up what's meant by pick slant here, right? So pick slant is a Troy Grady thing, right? It's a Troy Grady language, but it's not a technique that Troy uses exclusively. And we're going to clear up the difference between pick edge or edge picking and pick slanting. Let me show you the difference, right? Pick slanting refers to the angle of the pick's escape. It refers to the direction the pick is traveling in space. And what this comes from is the observation that at slower speeds, players can escape with both pick strokes. If we play something reasonably slow, we can play with this curved pick trajectory that escapes on every pick stroke. But as we play faster, we start to even that out to the point of it being basically a straight line. And there are 2 ways we can escape the plateau. I'm going to use a purple pick so we can see, because the gold pick against the gold guitar, that's not really working for us, right? There's a purple pick. Hopefully this is, you know what? I've got a large pick over here. This will do. We'll be able to see that a little bit better. Ah, there we go. Magic. Okay, so there are 2 ways we can do this. We can escape with a trajectory that we might call downstroke escape, which requires us to angle the path of the pick's trajectory so it's a straight line, but it's angled in this direction. This allows us at speed to transition between strings after a downstroke. So a classic example of this is the Paul Gilbert lick from Extreme Rock, where he plays. Let me get that again. What is Extreme Rock? What was Paul Gilbert's DVDs called again? Head's not working today. It's bank holiday. But it's that lick. Now that lick requires us, because it's fast, to have a straight picking motion. We cannot play this with this curved picking path, and nobody does. We've observed this by pointing cameras at people. It's empirical observation, right? We can intellectualize and say, yes, we can. Nobody does it. No one does this at this kind of speed. The pick path straightens out, and this requires us to play this lick, because it changes after downstrokes, for the pick to move up in the air after a downstroke. That is what some people will sometimes call upward pick slanting. Now, Troy and his researchers he is the researcher. Troy and folks au fait with his language have moved away from the term pick slanting to change the term to downstroke escape. So you would call it upward pick slanting, but what it actually means is the pick escapes in a downward trajectory. Upward pick slanting, downward pick slanting, sometimes called upstroke escape, is the opposite. An example of this is the Eric Johnson sixes, or the Zach Wild sixes, where we play this. A little messy because I'm playing with a huge pick. Let me change to this one. That works by function of the fact that the pick is traveling in a straight line, but it escapes on upstrokes. Now, when the pick is escaped, we are free to then transition from one string to another, and that is the central conceit of the pick slanting thing. It is not to be confused with turning the pick on its edge to change the pick's tone, right? That's a different thing entirely. That's something that is referred to in this vernacular as edge picking, as opposed to pick slanting. And truthfully, again, Troy has moved away from the use of the term pick slanting because it confuses people. It creates these kind of discussions of, is this a tone thing? Is it a comfort thing? That's the deal. Intense rock. That is the one. Whew, there we go. Magic. So here's the thing, right? In terms of the pick's escape angle, all of the things held constant. If the pick's if the pick's edge, we'll go to this. If the pick's edge is held constant in both postures, isn't a difference in tone. So this escape angle is not a tone thing because there's no difference. And any perceived difference in tone from this rolling from here, which Nick is referring to as pitch, roll, and yaw, we like that, tilt, let's say maybe, for example. I'm guessing that's what we mean by that. Any perceived difference is because we don't... Any perceived difference is from not correcting for the angle of the pick against the string in this direction, i.e. the amount of edge picking. If we don't correct for that, we will hear a change in tone. But it's not because of the angle of trajectory, it's because we've changed the amount of pick edge. Does that make sense? So that's where that comes from. But yeah, man, pick slanting is such a valuable discovery, but the term, again, the term's been superseded with escape. So we consider this, what we previously called downward pick slanting, as upstroke escape playing. And this would be downstroke escape playing. Something like this would be double escape playing, where we play. You can see this in Paul Gilbert's playing, you can see it in Andy Wood's playing, you can see it in Martin Miller's playing, like all these guys who are great at this stuff. But you also find tendencies, going back to this this business of playing stuff that feels comfortable. You should be afraid to organize your licks in a way that feel more comfortable, even if you do both of these things, right? Both of these things. Arranging licks in a way that just feels instinctively comfortable is a good thing, because it allows you, as you guys rightly pointed out in the comments, to just stop overthinking, right? Stop overthinking. State of Godslayer says, unpopular opinion, but locking the brain on the pick slanting disrupts the play. I find more obtrusive than helpful. You know, you're absolutely right? So here's the thing. This should be something that feels transparent, and it's more of an observation of what's happening and a way of troubleshooting things when they go wrong. You shouldn't be thinking at any point during your playing, I need to play with a downward pick slant. Right? It should just be occurring. It should be happening. And if things go wrong, which sometimes happens, you can go through the troubleshooting process and go, oh, wait a minute, my hand's in the wrong direction. And then you can just get back to playing, right? It is literally as simple as that. So yes, it absolutely should be subliminal, as should all aspects of your technique when you're playing something that is challenging and we're playing at speed. But it's such a good observation, man, right? And such fertile ground for discussion, right? I really do like that an awful lot. I like that an awful lot. So anyway, folks, we've run out of time. We started late. I do apologize, right? That was a me problem, but it was mainly a StreamYard problem. But we're going to call that there because it's come to 9 o'clock. We've come to the end of our hour together. We'll be back next week with a whole new topic. It's a new month, so we're going to have a new topic for you guys. In the meantime, thank you so much for your patience earlier on when things weren't working. And thank you very much for being around for this month, playing fast. We're going to be moving away from that for just a second. Enjoy the rest of what's left of your Bank Holiday Monday, folks. If you get to take some time off over half term, if you're in the UK, fantastic. Enjoy that too. Hoping the sun comes out for you wherever you're at. I will see you guys in the same place next week. Don't forget to check out our featured course, which is, of course, Sam Bell's play-along picking workout. It is killer stuff. Go to licklibrary.com for lessons, guitarinteractivemagazine.com for news, reviews, gear, etc. Subscribe to whichever channel you happen to be watching on. I'm going to play us out on the same backing track, and I'm going to play at 90% and try not to overthink it. Thank you so much, guys. I will see you next week. That's the one I was looking for. I was looking for that one in D, I played it in G. What are you gonna do? See you guys next week.